This is Maria Liberati, and I just want to mention that I am doing my podcast today. I'm so fortunate I'm doing it at this award-winning design studio. It's a showroom kitchen designed by Gaiman Studios. They're in Harleysville, Pennsylvania. So we're right outside of Philadelphia, and it's the most beautiful kitchen. I know you can't see everything, but they have won so many awards for their design. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to film this episode here, and I am also lucky to have with me Charlie Torrelli, or how do we say it in the American way?
I was born Calogero Torrelli. My first real name is Calogero, which is the name of the character in the movie, as it were. And of course, that evolved when the nuns who taught me grade 1 couldn't say Calogero, all they could say is Caligula. They changed my name to Charlie. So I grew up with Charlie Torrelli here. I'm in Hamilton, Ontario, where I grew up. And so Charlie is it, and it's Charlie Torrelli or Calogero Torrelli or Hey You or Cha or...
I have to mention, too, he's an international actor. And yes, he's in Hamilton, Ontario. I've been there, lots of Italians there, right? Yes. Yes.
Well, here's something for you, Maria. There are 38,000 people from my hometown, Racalmuto, in Sicily, in Hamilton, and there are only 10,000 in Racalmuto.
Oh, my goodness.
The whole town has poured into the city.
Oh, my gosh. It's the same thing. I know my family's from Abruzzo, and there are a couple of towns that they have their feast days in, like, right outside of Toronto, because there are so many that have come there, you know, from Italy. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But Charlie's going to talk to us today, especially about many things, but the film that he's in, The Road to the Lemon Grove. If you haven't seen it yet, when was it? It was just released, right? When was it released?
It was just released on streaming platforms or whatever, Amazon, etc.
Yes,
on July 7th. However, we did have a national run, a theatrical run before COVID that was very successful, as a matter of fact. So this is basically a re-release for the streaming platform. Voila, and also the turn it around.
Yes, you have to turn it around because it's upside down. So just there you go. Yeah, for the camera, I guess. There you go.
There's a DVD, and allow me to put a plug in for this DVD. Do you mind?
Yes, no, I want you to.
In this DVD, there are, there are outtakes. Now, there's outtakes and then there's outtakes. Yes. When you're working with Italians, they're zany outtakes, right? Yes. But there's also Dale Hildebrand, the wonderful director and producer with whom I had worked for this whole thing. He and I did a commentary. We watched the movie without stopping. It's kind of like people watching the Santa Claus parade and giving a commentary of the Santa Claus parade as it goes by.
Oh, yes.
As the movie floats by us. Remember that I'm an actor that has 4 parts, 2 lead parts and 2 supporting parts in the movie.
Yes.
So Eddie Murphy, eat your hat.
Yes.
You're not the only one. Anyway, the point being, the commentary is wonderful, and there are Italian. If you want to do the Italian subtitles, we poured over those subtitles with real experts. So anyway.
Oh, that's great. That's good. So tell me, where did you film? Where did you get to film at? Did you film in Italy, or was it?
Where are you gonna do an Italian film? There's only 3 places you could do it: Philadelphia, Hamilton, and Italy.
Exactly.
Well, we did it in Sicily, actually.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Siracusa, to be the Siracusa area.
Siracusa, yes. Oh my gosh.
There's the island of Ortigia, and of course the Greek amphitheater, the Orecchio di Dionisi, the ear of Dionysus. Yes, I knew Siracusa well because I went there 40 years ago as a hippie, returning to my island after having been born there and been about 8 months old when we came to America. I remember that it's always America. It doesn't matter. Probably in South America they say America as well.
Right.
My mother wouldn't say Mannaggia Canada. She'd never say that. She'd say Mannaggia America.
Yeah, that's what my grandfather used to say, and he was from Abruzzo, so I guess they all say that, right? Yes.
Yeah, I've been to Abruzzo. I've heard them say that in Abruzzo.
Yes.
Anyway, so we filmed in the Siracusa area because I knew of its beauty. The other thought was Racalmuto, the town I just told you about that has so many people in Hamilton. However, number one, I have lots of relatives in Racalmuto, and they're alive and well and lovely. But if I say the wrong thing about Racalmuto, we thought that we'd go neutral. We made up a town called Terra Mare.
That's good. Yes.
And as you know, Terra Mare means land and sea. Not everybody knows that, but and so we actually had a sign for the street that really fooled some of the locals, because we put up a real sign. You know how movie. So they're driving, going into Syracuse and going, "Where the hell am I? Terra Mare, what is this?" So because if you make up a town, you can go to any town you want around the area. So there must have been about 20 towns that we went into, not to mention Toronto, Hollywood North, a little bit of Hamilton. So the Syracuse area is a good frame of reference about where we were, and most of it was on location. Oh,
wow, that's great. Oh, you poor thing. So you had to be in Italy to film this film. Oh, my goodness, what a heartache. Yes, I know what you mean about your family and mentioning the town, because, you know, I lived in Abruzzo for many years, but I do have part of my family, part of my heritage is from Molise. But I never really talk about Molise a lot, because I never spent a lot of time there. Oh my gosh. So when I do events, and if I only speak about Abruzzo and I have my family that are from Molise here, oh gosh, I never hear the end of it. So that was a good idea to make up the name of the town. So, you know.
And I think they've forgiven me, because I returned to the town and the whole town band came out. Everybody, all the artisans came out. They must have forgiven me, because they're treating me as if the movie was made in Raccamuto. I'll tell you why. Because when you open la uca mia per parlare, that it's a language, right? Sicilian's a language, and within Sicilian there are many Sicilian dialects. They know that I'm their boy. Quando io parlo così, chi sanno che io sogno di già. So I am the embodiment of Raccamuto, but it was filmed in the Syracuse area.
Exactly. That's great. So tell us the premise, a quick synopsis of the story, so, you know, we can get people to watch it. It has such an interesting storyline. Can you tell us without giving too much away?
Allora, it's about an old country Sicilian Papa who died. And of course, he wants to go to Paradiso. And so he actually makes it to the gates of Paradiso. But there are unresolved matters in the family, especially with respect to his son, whose name is Calogero, my namesake. The Papa's name is Antonio. And pointed out to him that there are feuds to resolve. There's a will, and in the will, there's a lemon grove in Sicilia. Now, lemon grove means nothing, because they're being abandoned. But the lemon grove has a Madonna that performs miracles. And one side of the family wants to exploit this into a theme park where people have to, which is I think it's La Dolce Vita, one of the Marcello Mastroianni movies. We hearken upon a lot of movies in this one here.
Or the Federico Fellini, something to do with Fellini. Yes.
We hearken upon Fellini and Marcello, of course.
They work together. Yes.
So that particular theme. So we had to put a Madonna in it. Otherwise, what the hell are they arguing about?
Exactly. Yes.
Who cares? Who gives a damn? So he has to resolve this matter, and the person through whom he had to resolve it was his son, Calogero. And his son is a university professor of linguistics. Because he's a professor of linguistics, and I play the son and the father. So because he's a professor of linguistics, we get to use, or if you like the word exploit, or sfruttare, the whole language aspect. Some that I've just mentioned to you with respect to the dialect, what is a language, the evolution of language, the devolution of language, the decadence of language. Like my language, Raccamutese, doesn't exist in Raccamuto. It pretty much only exists in Hamilton. Because, and that's true for Molisani and all over.
It is, yes, I can attest to that too, yes.
The Italianization of the country post-war, and has people like you and me, mass media, bringing Italian to them. So there's so much. And then there's the dichotomy between the two individuals. One is an esteemed university professor of Sicilian history and language. And the other is the illiterate Papa, who is dead, but it's this spirit coming to haunt his son about what has to be done to rectify matters in the family. And his son doesn't give un cavolo. He doesn't care, because he's a university professor, and he thinks his father is a man of the earth, and he's a man of the blackboard as a university professor. So you have this dichotomy, this clash that continues between them. And the final not final, but This is what goes from Act 1 to Act 2. Wants his ashes in Sicily. The ghost is but we don't make it seem like, go booga booga ghost. You see Antonio in the flesh. He's dead, but you know how if you
yes.
And he wants his ashes back home, and said, well, the family will lose it if we cremate you, because eventually he haunts them to the point by coming to his lecture hall as a ghost and mocking the crap out of him while the students don't hear it, until he's fighting a ghost in front of the students.
Oh my goodness.
He lost it, according to the students, of course. And at that point, he has no choice. He goes, what? This is crazy. I've got to bring the ashes back. And then a breath of fresh air, because he's going back to a home he didn't really know, because he, like me, was under a year old when they emigrated.
Oh, okay.
As much as his head is full of all the facts of the philosophers that were the Greek philosophers based in Sicily, of which there were many, many.
Yes.
All those facts about language and dialect. Now he's going to where all that information is held. His home island of Sicily, with his father's ashes under his arm. So the story evolves as to what, not only do we deal with what happens when you immigrate, but now that us Italiani are in positions of going back, as people who have been actualized in professions, etc. What happens when you go back? Like discover, for instance, that they don't speak the language.
Yes.
Discovering about the two families who are feuding. And then, of course, there's the matter of the lemon grove.
Yes.
That gives you a long story of what it's about.
Yes, I think that's definitely enough to get, my interest up. I would love to. I'm going to definitely get to see that this week. I didn't get a chance to, but I will definitely get to see that. So share with us. I know I had asked you if you wanted to share a recipe. As Italians, we just grow up with food and cooking in the kitchen all the time. Go ahead.
I had to close the door.
Oh, so I was going to say, I know, I was asking you if you have a recipe or something, but, Italians, I know you were remarking that we don't do formal recipes. Our mothers didn't, our grandmothers didn't. It's just, right, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And, they knew how to do it. So can you share, I know you were going to share with us some things about your mother and the garden and things. You were going to give us some things on that.
Why don't I just start with something, it's rather elementary for those of us that grew up with fig trees. We're talking Canada here, okay?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So right away, there's a food stuff that you would never anticipate. Now, the reason I don't go recipes is because my mother's recipe is when it's summer, when it's harvest time for the massive amounts of foods that are grown in the garden. They look around and there's your recipe. Zarchi, oh yeah, but I'll do the fig tree story because that's a classic. No one would ever think it, but my father and others from the neighborhood, remember, the Italians cluster around neighborhoods.
Yes.
And in Hamilton, they're from the same town, not only the same. They brought branches that they kept alive that were rooted in water when they got here.
Oh my gosh.
From Sicily.
Yes.
And so did my father. That little thing grew in the basement because the basement in the early days wasn't a rec room, and it's
right.
It was a second kitchen, even if it's a dirt floor.
Yes.
So they would grow in a hole in the basement till it got a particular size.
Yes.
Always outside in the summer or spring.
Yes.
And then it got to be about 10 feet tall. Now think of a basketball player. They aren't 10 feet tall. This is 3 feet taller than a 7-foot basketball. It gets, the way you preserve it at that point is you dig a hole alongside of the tree that's 10 feet and more.
Yes.
And then you loosen the roots, not cut the roots. Some might have, and then you bend the tree into the hole like a grave.
Oh my gosh, I never heard this. Wow.
And you put some boards on it so that the branches don't connect with the dirt all the time.
Yes.
They don't have rot. And then you put the dirt back on it, and a mound in the backyard that we called the fig tree grave that we hid behind for snowball fights would ensue. And in the spring,
go ahead. Yes.
You dig it up and you set it up straight And of course, it doesn't, and it's still growing, the damn thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And the most delicious purple figs ensued
Oh my
from that
gosh.
tree. And we would use it for different things, including cooking,
Yes.
but also for peel.
Yes, and just eating.
We were eating fresh figs. That's one small thing. That's an example of our attempts to grow watermelon. And so when my mother cooked, she went to the garden and got stuff. Now, when it was winter, she went to the market, and of course, she couldn't speak English, so she I'll give you this, this, and this. When she cooked it, so a little bit of this. And she used the word apitanza in the summer. You were asking about a recipe. Well, the recipe was go to the garden, get some of the most fabulous vegetables, and remember that Italian Sicilians, unlike some parts of Italy, do not cook picante. Okay.
Yes.
Everything has a lovely spice to it, but not. Excuse me. I love the calabrese. Most of my friends are calabreses, but not like the calabreses that I love. I happen to like picante, so I love eating with my calabrese friends. But my mom would make a pot and put all kinds of vegetables in the pot, and the smell that ensued from a big cauldron of a pot, because she had 6 kids, don't you know?
Oh my gosh.
So she had to feed them, and we were poor, as everybody can attest when they're immigrants. Right. So the recipe was go out to the garden, smell, see what's ripe, and put it in the pot and cook it. But she also made her own cannoli. I remember I was the one that had to get the old broomstick and saw the broom handle off, and then saw it off into little bits so she can wrap.
Oh my gosh, the cannoli, the pasta, right?
So these are little kind of. I'm not a cook, but I've been privy to some of the best cooks in the world. I'll tell you.
Yes, I'm sure you are, and isn't it amazing the way they did things? They're just better than professional chefs, and the amazing things that they did, especially being poor, and they just knew, how to make the most wonderful and things like that. It's just unbelievable, amazing. But I was really amazement with the fig tree story, because I had to grow fig trees because my mom grew up in an Italian neighborhood in Philadelphia, and her father was from Molise, and he always had a fig tree, and she always used to talk about climbing the tree and eating them for the summer. So I wanted to get her that.
Well, Philadelphia is a little further south. You might have gotten a bigger for climbing, but the story of introducing Americani who are not Italiani to figs that have never eaten figs, and then telling them that you got them from your backyard. When I was in university, and they're going, "What are these?" I roll them out.
Yes, I did that.
What are these things? Because they only can relate to dry figs, not fresh figs, and not fresh figs, non-imported fresh figs.
From
Philadelphia, from wherever. Now, not everybody buried the fig trees. I just want you to know. Even in our neighborhood in Philadelphia, some put greenhouses around it.
Yes, that's right.
But after a while, you couldn't take it in after a while. But mostly you took it in and out until it's a particular size.
And
you freak out the Vero Americani about these are fresh. Well, you don't freak them out so much because they don't even know what the hell it is when they
are. I know. I've actually introduced a few people, because now I started one fig tree, and now I have a few, and I've learned. Our winters aren't as brutal as they are in Canada. So we have I have greenhouses around, but I have about 4 or 5 fig trees now, and I just love fresh figs. There's nothing better. It reminds me of being in Italy in the summertime. Oh gosh. So we have them too, but that's a beautiful story about your mom. So anything coming up? Where can people find you, or do you have anything coming up? Or I guess you're just promoting this film right now, right? Because it just came out.
I'm never only just anything, because I am a professional harmonica player, and I'm also a theater performer. And
that's right. You do. You perform internationally. So any projects coming up? Well,
I've just completed a theatrical project for the Fringe Festival in Hamilton, which was beautiful, and it's not Italianesque.
Yes.
It's American, because it starts in Baltimore and ends up in Saskatchewan.
Oh my goodness.
In prairies, and that's called Prairie Odyssey. And it stopped running 2 days ago. So there's always something coming up. I was just at a jam session, a musical jam session. I played the blues. I guess the blues. You take harmonica like this, and you go. But I want to get back to food. The movie is also all about food. Matter of fact, Dale Hildebrand started his idea of the script with thinking about how lovely it would be to have a long table and a beautiful piazza. And of course, then you got to think of themes, wire, et cetera. And to the point when we had our release, our national theatrical release, restaurants were copying the recipes of the foods that were in the movie. So the movie has become iconic.
Yes.
When you watch it, your eyes will tell you about the foods, Izzarchi, and Rapini, and cannoli, and you'll see the Italian food. And also food was the way that the two families were brought to the table for food. They're feuding families. So the ghost says to his son, get the families together. So the son says, well, remember that his love interest is his beautiful model actress named Maria, and she is the prima ballerina of Italy.
She is? Wow.
We had to put her in a holding tank. She was, wherever we went, she was followed for autographs.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was Rosella Brescia. And remember that we have Americano, we have Burt Young from Rocky 2 and 3.
Oh, my goodness, I didn't realize that. Oh, wow.
Brilliant. He plays an uncle. Whereas I play a papa, he plays an uncle. But my papa, 6 hours of makeup for the other role. Okay.
Oh, well.
Nick Mancuso has made 300 Hollywood.
Yes, Nick Mancuso, I do know of. Yes. Oh, wow.
He lived next door to Michael Douglas. He's our other Hollywood person. So we have a young 10-year-old at the time who was now like 16.
Yes.
I had to teach him Sicilian because he plays the son. He had to learn Sicilian. And we have some really touching parts that denote poverty, but we also have touching parts that denote the success of Calogero being a university professor alone of the success. So we're chock full of great actors.
Yes.
And I don't mind saying it was my first film.
Oh, wow. But you have a lot of experience in theater as an actor. So that's definitely, you bring that to film. So Charlie, before we run out of time, I usually ask some of my guests, what this question, maybe you can tell me, and I usually like to share this with my audience. What does food mean to you? If we asked you that, what does food mean to you?
It is the center of being. This is not an exaggeration. I'm not speaking as a stereotype Italian.
Yes.
I'm speaking, food is life. I mean, there are other beautiful things. To dance is to live, but to eat is to live. You're not, and what people who aren't Italian have to know is we're not immersing ourselves into our culture, that our culture brings forth food like a volcano that erupts. Now, we're not always conscious of it, those of us that aren't like our parents and grandparents, but we're always aware. So I'll make a distinction between awareness and consciousness. I grew up in a family that was conscious of it. As somebody that became an Americano, I'm always aware of it. And it only takes, you just say the word Sidney Tucci, and I go, food. Say Anthony Bourdain, and I go, food.
Yes.
Maria, food. Food is kind of like the fulcrum, the center of being. If you understand food, then you understand life, because it's all about ingredients. It's all about the right ingredients, and food is how you sustain life. I mean, forget the embellishments of food. When you're poor, bread and a wonderful cheese and some salami, the way my father ate, and a thing of sardines. You want to know about food? You don't have to even turn the damn stove on.
Exactly.
So a nice great tin of sardines, and you just sit there and you contemplate and you eat.
Exactly.
It means everything to me.
Thank you for that. So Charlie, where can we find you if anybody else wants to find out about you? Do you have a website or?
You actually. The spelling of my name is always tricky. Keep in mind that I'm the only Charlie Torrelli in the world, because there are a lot of Calogero Chiarellis. In my town, there's like tons of them. But Charlie is spelled Charly, no I-E, no E-Y. And Torrelli, well, you have to put it on the screen or something. But the thing to find, because the movie is hot to trot, is Road to the Lemon Grove.
Yes.
If you Google Road to the Lemon Grove, chase it around until you get to Amazon, where you can order the movie. There are a lot of sites where you can order the movie.
Yes.
Streaming, or you can order the DVD, which is recommendable too, because it is a glorious piece for your library. It's going to be up there with Cinema Paradiso. It's a Beautiful Life. You'll see when you watch it.
Yes,
I guarantee you that, and I'm not speaking through my head and my perspective, but those that have seen it have come back to me, and I'm almost embarrassed about how much they love it.
Well, I've heard some amazing things about the film, and we're going to put it up on my website and social media. We're sharing this interview on a lot of places too. So we'll definitely share a lot about the film and links to the film also. Well, thank you, Charlie, so much, and much success to you. And I'm sure I'm going to have you on again because you're always doing amazing things. So I'm sure we're going to talk to you again. And much success with this film also.
Maria, much success to you. First of all, from evolving from being a model to this. Well, it's all about beauty, and food is beautiful, and you are beautiful. I'll be very glad to come back to your show.
Oh, definitely. Thanks so much, Charlie. Have a great buon Ferragosto.
Veramente, buon Ferragosto anche a lei.
Sì, grazie. August 15th, Ferragosto.
And love to all the listeners. Road to the Lemon Grove.
Yes, the road to the Lemon Grove. Thanks again, Charlie. Ciao.
Ciao, cara.